Don Felder's life is a testament to both the glory and the hidden darkness behind rock stardom. Born in Gainesville, Florida, into a modest family, Felder discovered music early and taught himself guitar with fierce determination. He famously traded a handful of cheap toys for his first guitar and practiced obsessively, driven by an inner fire. Gainesville's vibrant local music scene nurtured his early talents. He played alongside future legends like Stephen Stills, Bernie Leadon, and even gave a young Tom Petty his very first guitar lessons. Duane Allman introduced him to slide guitar, a skill that would help define Felder's signature style. His early bands were small stepping stones, but they forged his work ethic and sharpened his talent for melody and guitar mastery. In the early 1970s, Felder left Gainesville to chase bigger dreams. His brief New York venture with the Fusion Group, Flow, produced just one album, but the experience hardened him to the realities of the music business. The true turning point came in 1974 when Bernie Leadon introduced him to the Eagles. At that time, the band was already successful as a country rock outfit, but they lacked the harder rock edge that would take them to the next level. Felder's powerful guitar work, introduced on the track Good Day in Hell, instantly shifted their sound. With him in the band, the Eagles evolved from a country-infused group to one of the most influential rock bands in history. Felder's most iconic contribution came with the creation of the melody for Hotel California. Composed in a rented Malibu house, the haunting guitar arrangement would become one of the most recognizable songs of the 20th century. Along with his celebrated solos, Felder co-wrote classics like Victim of Love and Those Shoes, helping cement the Eagles' reputation as global superstars. During their peak years from 1975 to 1977, the band topped charts worldwide, selling millions of albums and performing to packed stadiums. Felder, the self-taught boy from Gainesville, had become an international rock icon. Yet, behind the acclaim, storm clouds gathered. As fame grew, so did tension. Don Henley and Glenn Frey increasingly consolidated control over the band's decisions, from finances to creative direction. Felder wanted equal recognition and input, which put him at odds with the dominant duo. The band's grueling touring schedule and relentless pressure only worsened the friction. The media spotlight shone brightest on Henley and Frey, leaving Felder's significant contributions in the shadows. On stage, his guitar harmonies with Joe Walsh thrilled millions, but backstage, relationships were deteriorating. Famously, a confrontation with Frey during a California show foreshadowed the implosion to come. What should have been a period of celebration became one of growing bitterness and exhaustion. For Felder, the glory of the Eagles was increasingly accompanied by feelings of betrayal and marginalization. The inevitable collapse came in 1980 when the Eagles disbanded. For Felder, the breakup marked not only the end of an era, but also the beginning of a deeply personal struggle. He released a solo album, Airborne, in 1983, featuring the track Heavy Metal, Taken a Ride, which became associated with the animated cult film Heavy Metal. Though the album didn't reach Eagles-level sales, it proved Felder could still craft memorable music on his own. He collaborated with artists like the Bee Gees, Stevie Nicks, and Michael Jackson, expanding his creative horizons. Yet success without his old bandmates always felt incomplete. In 1994, when the Eagles reunited for the Hell Freezes Over tour, Felder rejoined, thrilling fans with his legendary flamenco-style Hotel California intro once again. But beneath the smiles, the old tensions with Henley and Frey remained unresolved. In 2001, Felder's worst fears came true. After decades with the Eagles, he was abruptly fired. The cold dismissal was a devastating blow, made worse by the knowledge that he had helped shape the very legacy he was now being excluded from. Felder later described the moment as the bitterest of his career, and his pain fueled a highly publicized lawsuit against Henley and Frey over unfair profit distribution and control. The legal battle became one of rock's most infamous disputes. Though settled privately, the scars never healed. When Glenn Frey died in 2016 at age 67, Felder admitted he was tormented by their unresolved feud. "If I could go back," he said in a rare candid moment, "I wish I had said one thing differently to Glenn before it ended." It was a reminder that behind the hits and headlines were human relationships damaged beyond repair. Personal tragedies compounded Felder's professional pain. His 27-year marriage to Susan Felder collapsed under the weight of touring pressures and emotional distance. Losing his family after losing his band left him adrift. Yet, he never quit. Music had always been his refuge, and he threw himself into writing, touring, and performing as an independent artist. Fans still revered him as the creative soul behind Hotel California, and his performances carried the emotional depth of a man who had lived both triumph and heartbreak. He focused on his children, rebuilt his life on his own terms, and found a measure of peace in knowing that, even without the Eagles, his work still resonated worldwide. In his later years, Felder embraced his past without letting it define him. In 2025, at 77 years old, he released The Vault, 50 Years of Music, a career-spanning collection featuring unreleased demos and new songs with artists like Sammy Hagar, Slash, and David Paich. It was a bold declaration that age could not silence his creativity. But even as he celebrated his legacy, his body reminded him of its limits. In February 2025, during a Rock Legends cruise performance, Felder collapsed backstage from dehydration just before playing Tequila Sunrise. The shocking moment underscored the fragility of the man behind the guitar. After medical care and a single day of rest, he returned to the stage, living up to his mantra, "I will play until I can't stand anymore." Felder's resilience remains astonishing. He continues touring with the Brotherhood of Rock, sharing stages with Styx and Kevin Cronin, proving that his appeal endures. Yet he performs with a humility that reflects decades of struggle. In interviews, his tone has softened. He no longer uses harsh words about the Eagles, acknowledging that life has taken each member down different paths. The old wounds never fully closed, but Felder now seems more at peace, letting his music speak for itself. Don Felder's story is one of contrasts: strength and fragility, glory and loss, recognition and rejection. From the sunlit streets of Gainesville to the immortal chords of Hotel California, his journey embodies the duality of rock fame. Each note he plays carries the weight of his history, the triumphs that defined a generation, and the heartbreak that nearly broke him. Through it all, his guitar has remained his lifeline, his form of spiritual therapy. Even today, fans feel both admiration and empathy when they see him perform. They know his solos are more than music. They are survival. Felder's life reminds us that behind legendary songs are human stories marked by ego, conflict, love, and pain. He has endured one of rock's most famous feuds, lost family and friends, and faced the frailty of age, yet he still stands on stage, guitar in hand, fighting against time itself. From poverty-stricken beginnings to the peaks of global fame, from bitter rifts to late-life collapses, Don Felder's journey is as tragic as it is inspiring. His music remains his guiding light, a gift to fans and a refuge for himself. And as long as he can play, his story like the unforgettable notes of Hotel California will echo across generations.